and welcome to the very first episode of the Hey Listen podcast. I am DizzyBess, streamer, member of Two Drunk Flings. Who wants to go next?
Oh no, this is too confusing. It's me, I'm Misspelledtree, also a streamer, not a member of Two Drunk Things, but it is very good.
Hi everyone. I'm Giraffe. Seriously, I'm a Giraffe. Twitch. I'm a relatively new streamer and not a member of really anything, but except this group, I suppose. So it's a good start.
And I am Cauleeflower. I'm not a streamer. I am not a member of anything. I just kind of tag along with these ladies and do what they do, so I'm cool.
And our delicious vegetable.
I am a delicious vegetable, especially covered in cheese.
We're looking, because we're like doing this video on Discord, and there's a picture of Cauleeflower, and it's like an actual picture of Cauleeflower wearing sunglasses.
That was from my stream with Giraffe.
I was going to say, the very first time you appeared on stream, you were just a cauliflower song. I couldn't believe. I was like, that is brilliant. That is actually genius. For whatever I was expecting for like you to appear on stream, that was not it. But I loved it immediately.
Well, as soon as we decided on a date with Giraffe, I was like, do you know what? I'm not actually going to go on camera. I'm going to get a cauliflower on camera because people keep saying, are you actually a cauliflower or a person? So that was like planned for about a week and a half beforehand, and I was so excited because it was going to be so funny, and clearly it was. And it was really hard to keep that under wraps. I remember showing you Giraffe, and he's like, look, this is what I've got to be on stream with, and you thought it was great.
I think the first time I saw it was when I called you like 10 minutes before the stream, and you just had the cauliflower. This is fantastic.
Oh yeah, because I told you I had a cauliflower, and I'd done some testing through the day with a new webcam that I got, so I put it up and I put the camera on it, and Techno came through and he said I've made the cauliflower better. And I came and had a look at it, and my sunglasses on it, and I was just like, that's amazing.
Yeah, because it makes it more humanoid. It gives it eyes, and it just like draws your attention to the sunglasses, and it's just amazing. But I was thinking, is that the same stream, Giraffe, that you got the hat, or was that a different stream?
It's possible. I don't remember. It all happened very quickly around the same time.
Yeah, because you've got a giraffe hat, which
I do.
is just amazing, and I'm now thinking I need to get a bee. I need to get something bee-like. Like, what do I get?
Oh, I think there's all sorts of like bee kind of
Yeah.
paraphernalia going around at the moment. I'm sure we can find you something.
I'm sure when this came up on one of your streams, I found an inflatable bee costume on Amazon.
Oh my goodness, this has to
I'll
be
just
big.
sit here and I won't be able to put in the chair in an inflatable bee. Maybe a bee onesie. I could do bee onesie. Like, I've always wanted to do a stream in my Pikachu onesie, so I could do it in a bee onesie.
Oh my goodness.
I've
needs to be a goal.
rings from the dressing up box that you could put on to be a bee.
Yes. Points goal.
But you can't give this out for free. This needs to be a goal. It needs to be like
we need to hit
charity.
something. Yeah, I am hoping to do a charity stream at the end of September at some point. So that could be something that we sort of push towards, and it could be a point on the once you hit so many donations or so much money raised, then I put on a bee costume.
That sounds amazing. This is a thing. This is happening.
Sorry, I just had to mute for a second because the guinea pigs started squeaking. I think they want to be involved.
Oh, naturally.
Well, is now a good time to go into our guinea pig care segment?
We could do. Yes. So this is the Hey Listen podcast guinea pig care segment. Each podcast I will give one piece of guinea pig care advice, since I now have obtained 4 guinea pigs in my house. So the very first piece of advice that I give you for guinea pig care, very, very crucial part, is a cup of vegetables a day keeps your guinea pigs very, very happy. And if you don't just give them all in a bowl, because that's very boring for them, you have to scatter it around the cage. They have to go hunting for it, and they love that. They love looking for their vegetables.
Are guinea pigs hunting animals?
No. It's not that they hunt, they're foraging. So they're foraging for their vegetables.
Sounds terrifying. Can you imagine a guinea pig as an alpha predator?
Well, there's capybaras. The massive.
That's not a real thing, surely.
The massive guinea pigs. Yeah. They're in the same family. Yeah.
It's a South American giant rodent, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they are. I think.
I feel like we've skipped a step here, which is Dizzy casually saying, "Oh, I've got 4 guinea pigs in my care," and we've skipped the bit where Dizzy is a professional guinea pig wrangler who goes out to fields and wrangles guinea pigs to increase
Did
her.
miss that step. Dizzy, tell us what happened.
I was at my partner Day Day's parents' house, and all of a sudden I got a message from a friend saying, "You've got guinea pigs, right? I found 2 in a field. Could we borrow a cage?" So I was like,
Casually.
yeah, just casually finding guinea pigs, which apparently does happen because my mum sent me a news story about other guinea pigs in another part of the UK that had been abandoned. But anyway, back to my story.
We need to get you a light, like Batman has the light in the sky, like a big
guinea pig rescuer. Yeah. Oh my God, no! It took. Right, I was in that field for 14 hours. Like it wasn't a quick catch. But yeah, so my friend messaged me saying, "I don't know anything about guinea pigs. I know that they're here. I am in this field with some blankets and some veg trying to catch them." So I was like, right. Rushed back to my place, grabbed some guinea pig food, grabbed loads of carriers and blankets and boxes and everything I could think of to catch guinea pigs, because they are fast. It's hard enough catching them when they're enclosed in a cage, let alone in a massive farmer's field. And then yeah, we spent about 8 hours on the first day, and then went back the next day. We caught one on the first day, and then went back for the second one the next day. And in total, we were in that field for 14 hours.
It's a hero.
Hope you didn't have any other plans.
Hey, yeah, well, we did, because the second day we went to Twycross Zoo in the morning, so we didn't go back to the field till the afternoon, and we spent the entire time going around Twycross going, oh my God, are they okay? Are they okay?
We have had some good weather in the UK recently, so they will have been okay.
Yeah, it was lucky that it was summer. If it had been winter, then they wouldn't have done as well. But yeah, now we have officially adopted them because the other people who were considering it, they decided that they couldn't give them enough space, so we said that we would take them in. So now we have 4 guinea pigs in our house.
Oh my goodness. Well,
it's weird how when you have animals like that you always somehow end up with more of them without even trying to.
Yeah.
As we did that with our rats as well. We started out with 2 boy rats, and we specifically wanted boy rats because they've got a better temperament and they're easier to handle, and they're slower, and they tend to be more cuddly. And then we decided we'll introduce 2 more boy rats into the cage. And then a few weeks later, we found out that the first boy rats we had weren't actually boy rats, and we had baby rats as well. So we ended up with 8 rats in total.
Oh no! Well, that was something we were worried about with the ones in the field, because obviously we'd just found them, so we didn't know whether they were boys or girls or a boy and a girl. So we were like, is there also like a litter? Are there any babies in there? So we were constantly like listening out, because it was so overgrown. It was a bramble bush, so it wasn't as though we could just like move things around. That we had to be really careful. But for the amount of time we were there, we didn't hear anything, so we assumed there wasn't. And then when we checked them, they were both boys anyway. So yeah.
Well, that would be a miracle of science.
Exactly. So we wanted to have a discussion about games in this, didn't we?
We were going to talk about the games that got us going, the games that got us started, those games that hold a special place in our heart.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I just now I'm thinking I should have been more prepared.
I also
I know
just
you
thought
guys have
that.
been taking notes throughout the week.
I also just thought, shit, I was supposed to prepare.
I actually do have something prepared. So shall I start while you guys think of your stories? So
Do it.
I have 2 stories. One is gaming, and one is gaming adjacent.
Okay.
Oh well, yeah. So we'll start with the gaming one. Some of the first games that I ever played was on the very first ever computer that we got, and I must have been about 5 or 6. So we talk about 1996, 1997.
Oh shit.
And all the games on that were, you had to get to them through DOS. And I know I was young because I remember spinning around on this computer chair and asking my mum or my dad, how do you spell games? So I can't have been in school that long, because that's a reasonably easy word to spell. So does anyone want to take a guess at what the game was that you got through DOS on an old PC that I might have played at about the age of 5 or 6?
Doom.
Say? Oh,
Doom! Yes, it was
Was I
Doom!
right?
Yes,
Oh my
we're
God.
right.
Oh wow.
Well, that explains so much about your homicidal tendencies.
I know, right? Yes. So one of my first proper forays into gaming was at the age of 5 or 6,
Oh, that's
playing
amazing.
Doom in the living room in front of my parents. When you had to get through it through DOS. and it was amazing.
They didn't question it at all. Like, is this suitable for a 5-year-old?
Not really, no, they didn't really care.
I'm trying to think what like today's equivalent of that is. Like, what's today's equivalent of Doom for a 5-year-old? Like, that you were like, I definitely don't want my 5-year-old playing
Doom,
this.
right?
Fortnite.
Fortnite is still a bit cartoonish, right? It doesn't quite. I feel. Well, I guess so is Doom by modern standards, but I feel
Well,
like
the thing is, like, my son, he's 8, and he's got his own Switch and things like that, and he's got his own laptop, so he plays Blood Bowl as well. He plays it on the computer and he plays it
Ooh.
tabletop, and he has all sorts of games on his Switch, and he borrows all mine. So he's been playing Skyrim and things like that have an 18, and I'm fine with that because I've played it and stuff like that. But if he came to me and said, I want to play Fortnite, I would lose it and say, you have absolutely no chance. And not because of the content of it or anything like that, but more because of how they try and constantly get you to spend money.
Also, a microtransaction side of things.
Yeah, that's the kind of games I'm trying to avoid for him. So I
Yeah.
don't mind buying DLC and expansion passes and things like
So
that
would
for him.
FIFA be another one that you'd say no to?
Probably not necessarily say no to, but I certainly wouldn't be looking at wanting to spend a fortune on these packs because it's not like before when you like that you could just buy a team. Like with Blood Bowl 2, you just said, right, okay, I want the lizard team. I go and buy the lizard team. It's you open these stupid boxes. I don't want my 8-year-old gambling.
Yeah.
And that's probably the line that I would draw because they specifically make these things appeal to children.
Yeah, you hear so many stories of like kids spending hundreds of thousands of their parents' money
Yes.
accidentally because they don't realize what they're doing. And there's so many, you are completely right, it is becoming such a huge problem, and I'm not sure where it is, but I'm pretty sure there are some countries that have like banned those kinds of games or banned loot boxes and things like that because of like how predatory they are.
It's akin to gambling. It really is truly akin to gambling, and that is the exact kind of games that I would kick up a fuss playing. Like my parents should have kicked up a fuss about me playing Doom at 5 or 6.
Would you play Doom with your son? Like if you could get it going?
Yes, absolutely. I've
And
got
what
it on
do
my
you think he would
PlayStation,
say if
actually.
you wanted to play Doom with him? Would he be like, yeah, I'm into it? Or would he be like, Mum?
No, we'd be get wrecked, nerd.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's actually one of my earliest memories as well, but I was the opposite of you because I was watching my brother play Doom and be terrified. So I'd be like hiding somewhere under the table or behind a chair somewhere and peek out every now and then just to see if he was winning. And then like go back to, this is so terrifying, there's monsters. They're gonna come out and get me. So power to you.
Doom, things like that had never scared me. But I mean, I've got so many stories of gaming when I was like, my mum was always into that sort of old type of gaming. She loved like Pong and Pac-Man and things like that you plug into the telly. One of them got jumped up and down on by my dad, but that's a different story completely.
Oh my God.
She wouldn't
your
stop
dad
playing
was
it.
like raging about the game and losing, or was he?
No, it was 36 hours she'd been playing it for. She'd been playing
Oh
Pong on the
my
TV, just going boop, boop, boop,
Nice.
boop, boop, and he just got sick of it, jumped on it, threw it out the window.
Oh my God.
The consoles were always mine or my sister's. And every now and then we'd be like, can we bring it downstairs and play on the big TV? My dad would grumble and we'd be like, yes, that's absolutely fine, bring them down. So we'd bring them down, we get about 10 minutes off it. And she goes, no, you're doing it wrong. And steal the controller out of our hands. And I remember watching her doing a Silent Hill playthrough, and that was genuinely terrifying. I think I was about 9 at the time, and she'd make us turn off all the lights. But she'd want us to sit and play and watch her play. She loved it when we sat there and watched her. She loved having spectators. But yeah, that was a thing.
I used to watch my dad play video games. There's Lara Croft is one I remember him playing a lot of when I was younger.
Oh, yes.
And I used to sit behind him on the sofa and he would sit on the floor right in front of me. And I have very, very vivid memories of helping him with puzzles and things and making suggestions. I'm pretty sure like a lot of the time he was just letting me figure it out or letting me make the suggestions and he'd already like figured it out and stuff. He says he didn't, but he actually had my help. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure you did figure these out before me. When I was younger, I was really, really bad at finishing video games, and Lara Croft Underworld on PlayStation 3 was the very, very first video game I ever finished. I remember being so proud of myself, and I was like 11 or 12. I was awful.
Talking about Lara Croft and things that scared us, I was so amazing at doing the first level of the first Tomb Raider, but I would never, ever go past level 2 because there was a bear in that and it terrified me.
Oh,
Just remember there being a bear, and then I remember once I did it, but then I wouldn't do the next level because there's a T-Rex in that level.
T-Rex.
yeah, I tried. I remember I used to play the PS1, and I struggled with the controllers because it was a D-pad rather than the analog sticks, which I am now more used to. And I remember I used to get stuck in the very first level. There's like an area you're in a hole, and I could never jump out of the hole because the way she jumps is really strange. So I was just there for like 15 minutes just trying to get out of this hole. I'm giving up. I can't do this anymore. But yeah, I remember I used to, any boss fights, I'd have to give the controller to my dad. Anytime I'd be like, I can't do the boss fights. I can do everything else in the game, but I can't do the boss fights. I'm too scared. You do it. I think the T-Rex was one of the first boss fights I actually managed to do on my own. So again, for me, Lara Croft is a really big game for me because I'm pretty sure it came out the same year I was born. So it's like for my entire life, I've just known of Lara Croft, and like just the games have just been massive. Like that for me is my game. But I do have another video game story which isn't to do with me, but it's to do with my mum, and it's actually become a tradition in our house because my mum doesn't play video games, but the day before I was born she was playing Worms. So now every year, the night or the day before my birthday, we play Worms.
Oh, I used to love Worms.
Awesome.
Worms
That's
was
such a
wicked.
lovely tradition.
Yeah, what a cool thing to do with your mum.
Do you have any stories, Tree? Because we've told loads of ours.
We
haven't
have,
had one
yeah.
yet.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I didn't prepare and now I'm thinking of like loads of things. Like I'm really worried about dating myself by talking about the games I'm going to talk about. So like the first console I remember us having in our house was a Sega Mega Drive. So I've already told you how, I'm old.
I also remember having a Sega Mega Drive. Don't worry.
All right, that makes me feel better. Thank you. But yeah, so like my brother's 2 years older than me, and I think that's really important. By the way, I'm curious because I realize I don't know like which of you like has siblings, whether they're older and younger. Because I think like so much of my gaming inevitably was my brother, because that's who you spend a lot of time with.
Oh, that's if
yeah.
you like your. I mean,
Well, that's true. That's true. My brother and I actually like, he's a pretty good brother. We've had, of course, like all siblings had like arguments and stuff, but we never like really fell out. We were always pretty close. So he looked after me.
that's
Actually.
wonderful.
He was a good older brother. But like, yeah, when we got a Mega Drive, we had Altered Beast. And Altered Beast is like one of those old-fashioned side-scrolling games where like you just sort of move through the levels like just constantly going sort of to the right of the screen. And it had these like old cartridge games. I think when I talk about these old cartridge games, like does someone who's 20 even know what I'm talking about? But these old cartridge games that go into the machine. And all of the sort of like
Blowing it to make
quality
it
of them is quite basic. But they'd obviously like tried to record like people speaking onto it, and it was just really sort of like grainy and bad quality sound. But there was this boss who would say "Welcome to your doom," but it came out like "Welcome to your doom," and like my brother and I still do that joke with each other. Like we are now a lot older, decades have passed, and we'll still say that to each other to like wind each other up, like "Oh, welcome to your doom" when we're playing a game. So that's one of my
that's
favorite.
a really sweet story. That is so nice.
I have others. I mean, like, so when I was a teenager, again, dating myself, but I remember playing the Resident Evil games and the earlier ones. I had like a group of friends that we would play it together. And I loved Resident Evil. I think that might be one of the games that I've loved the most, like the first 1 and 2 or whatever. But there's absolutely no way I could have done them on my own because I'm like, I love scary stuff. I'm also a wimp about it.
I was trying to stream Resident Evil 7.
saw.
I've given up. I've gotten to a point. I've gotten to a point, and I was just freaking out and full on screaming on stream. And I was like, I can't do this. Resident, I did
good content.
well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like,
this is what we subscribe for.
that's the thing. Like before, I've like added jump scare sounds and stuff for people who are watching to scare me. But it just reached a point in the game where I was like, I'm genuine, because I'd taken a bit of a break and I came back to it and I am like, I'm genuinely terrified. I am so stressed right now. I physically cannot go any further. And I was just like, I'm out. I can't do it. I could do the newest one, like the Resident Evil Village. I did that one completely fine. But 7, nah, I couldn't go any further.
I think that's like one of the cool things about Twitch though, because like my Resident Evil experience was there was like a group of 3 of us, And it would literally be like you play it until you're so freaked out you just hand over the controller. Like we just took turns playing it until we like couldn't handle it anymore. And you'd always sort of got someone to like pass it off to, like, all right, I'm too stressed out, you take a go. Obviously I play a lot of Blood Bowl, I do that on stream. But like sometimes I really like that experience of just watching someone else play a game. And I think it's like, for me, that's like still being the same sort of, I don't know, mental places when I was a teenager. And it's like, oh, I'm with my friends and we're like all huddled around the TV because that's how you used to do games. It wasn't across the internet. And yeah, it's like what it feels like. Just watching someone else play games really nice.
I absolutely agree. I love it. And it's something that goes back to my mum. So my gaming adjacent story that I had was when I was really little. Do you remember the old Game Boys, the one your thumbs only just reached buttons?
Mhm.
I'm dating myself as well there, aren't I?
I
Well,
had the old ones. I had the one that was like quite wide. Was it the Game Boy, the color?
before that.
Oh, the one
that
before that.
Game Boys
The
before that.
original Game Boy. Then yes, I'm dating myself. And we had quite a few games for it, and one of the ones we had was Tetris. And has anyone ever got to the end of Tetris on a Game Boy?
It has an
No.
end.
You know what
There's an
happens?
end?
An end, yeah. You can go. There's a mode where you get to an end. You go levels 1 to 10, and then you finish it.
Oh my
At
god.
the end of that, do you know what you get at the end of that? A rocket takes off. They
No.
build a rocket on the screen and it takes off. And I loved watching this, but I was so young and there was no way I could get through to the level 10 of Tetris and complete it. But my mum could. So I would come running to her with the Game Boy going, Mummy, get the rocket, get the rocket, get the rocket. And then she'd get the rocket for me and pass me over this Game Boy. And I'd watch this rocket lift off. And I loved it. It was great. And I'd be
that's
looking over
so
her shoulder
cute.
like, no, put it there. You're gonna, it's wrong. No, it's wrong. I want the rocket.
Oh, as a mum now, though, don't you think that'd be so sweet if your kids came and did that with you?
Oh, they do stuff like that. Yeah, they love watching, and they've definitely got a love of gaming like me and Dad do.
Oh,
But
are
it's
they
a
into
big,
Blood Bowl yet? Are
only
they,
the
they have
oldest,
networks yet?
but the middle one we put all your streams on the TV, so they all know who you are. Except maybe Giraffe, you stream a bit late for them to be up for. And my little girl will run around and she's going touchdown and get a blitz. And it's absolutely adorable.
That's so cute. Because I met your kids the other week and they were also so sweet, and it was a surreal experience because it's always strange meeting people who you only know online, but the way that they reacted to me was really sweet, and I'd never expected anybody to react like that, and it was just it was so heartwarming, and I love this. They're just so cute.
It's because like we put you up on the TV. As far as my son's concerned, because he was so excited to meet you all, you're akin to like the movie stars and the people that he watches in his Avengers movies. You're on the TV, you're famous, and he got to meet you, and he was so excited about it.
Does he know that you're famous too now,
Kylie? He watched me on with Dizzy.
Nice.
He's heard about me going on with Giraffe as well.
Okay, so did that raise you in his esteem a little bit? Are you now
Maybe, I'm the cool
famous?
parent
Mommy's
now.
famous?
And mommy's famous, yeah. Mommy, that's weird. I can't say it. Mum, he's got a U in
mommy
it.
is on a dead team. You guys need to separate these,
I'm one of those as well, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
true.
on my team.
Yeah, and mine. Oh, nice. Cauleeflower is she's a big guy on like every team I've ever had. I feel like, and everybody else too.
I was a really stupid troll, though.
That was unfortunate. You should reconsider your life choice.
I feel like we haven't heard Giraffe's origin story yet.
No, we haven't.
The origin story. Oh, my game. I feel like I've missed out all of these stories that you're having. I'm having a little bit of a retrospective jealousy because, well, to an extent, growing up in the era that you've just talked about. But as a poor Soviet child, any possible talk of a Game Boy or PlayStation or any kind of console is completely out of the question. So I knew in theory that such things existed, but I've never actually really laid eyes on them. And then when we moved to the US, I've heard my friends might have had them, but I've never actually experienced the gaming experience. And then I grew up, went to college, went to work, and about 7 years ago, I was already a working professional, was way too cool for video games, and my boyfriend at the time that I was living with was like, you should play a video game. I bought this really nice computer. And I was like, nah, video games, that's lame, right? Board games are where it's at. That's where the cool kids play, right? That was a very legitimate thing that was going through my head, that like video games very lame. Board games are for the intellectual thinkers of the time. And the problem is, the thing that he recommended was, we just went to Steam and looked at what are the top recommended games of all time, and one of them was Mass Effect. So we started playing with Mass Effect. And the hill that I will to this day die on is that Mass Effect is like the greatest game ever invented, and is the coolest thing ever, is the Mass Effect trilogy. So
But what
that's
about
my opinion.
Andromeda? I
That
have to
never
ask.
happened.
Of course,
This
yeah.
is
What am I talking about? What's
what we
Andromeda?
decided. Yeah, what's that? What are you talking about? I don't know. Have you guys played it?
So one of the first games that I played online with Techno was Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Oh yeah, they had the multiplayer
So,
versions,
yeah,
right?
so you had the squad of 4, and you got waves and waves and waves, and the big women thing that scream at you.
Yeah, the Banshees, I guess.
Banshees. They will haunt my dreams forever. And a sidebar on that. Do you know what the message tone Techno has for me on his phone is? A banshee screaming.
Is it? Oh, you guys have the most romantic relationship.
I know, right?
Really lovely.
Yeah. So that was the first game that we played online together, and we had so much fun. Like Tree was saying, how she's got the little phrase that she's got with her brother. We've got a lot of little phrases from that, because I was constantly mishearing some of these go around the set for Katunka and headphones.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of friends who also really like Mass Effect, so we do bond over some of the stories. And I've definitely played on story mode. Fighting and shooting things was not the goal, but the idea of becoming friends with all these aliens and like romancing everybody I could, because I have to have the alien sex. Sorry, but I needed to hang out with all the characters. It was fantastic. Sorry, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Mass Effect. You can do all sorts of funky things with aliens, but romantically and wonderfully, and it's a very warm-hearted alien story.
What made me about Mass Effect that sticks out at the moment was actually watching Techno do a run through of Andromeda. And it's where the hero, so he played the male hero, obviously, because he's a man, doing that stupid little dance in that nightclub where he's just like he's from the 70s or something.
It's just written with so much love. And, well, at least the earlier versions. I can't say too much about Andromeda, but it certainly makes you feel warm and fuzzy. But the problem is, if you start from that, you have a really hard time going further. So I feel like I should have started like at a lower level instead of at the pinnacle of all video game creation. So I was a little disappointed from that. But I also around that same time, I ran through all the things that are, I guess, considered classics in certain groups now. So I did Portal and Portal 2, and I don't know what else is. What are big video games? I'm sure I did them all in like one quick burst.
Oh, I would know without going through my Steam library.
I know, yeah. Let's everybody compare Steam libraries.
Oh, let's not, because I'm actually mostly a console gamer, not a PC gamer. I'm so sorry, ladies.
You
Yes,
can't
I
say that in
am.
Blood Bowl circles. People get very angry.
Oh,
I mean,
know.
before Blood Bowl, I was much more of a console gamer, and it wasn't until like I was seriously streaming Blood Bowl that I considered getting a proper PC. Like I was heavily a PS4 girl, and like, well, I grew up with all the PlayStations, so like I say, I remember.
But even I understand the majesty of the Xbox when it came to me.
See, no, I just never could. I like PS1, Lara Croft, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. They were all games that I had in my childhood. My very, very, very first video game was Crash Bandicoot 3 Warp.
Do you have the remastered version?
Oh god, yes.
Spyro?
Oh yeah. I got the new Crash game as well, because Day Day's favorite series is the Crash Bandicoot series. So yeah, I got him the Crash 4, and I streamed it as well. I started streaming through my PlayStation.
Yeah, it was Techno that got me into actually being on the PC and doing, because we started properly with like Mass Effect.
Hell yeah.
Doing the multiplayer. But like it'll always be for me. It will always be Nintendo.
That's understandable. Like Nintendo was a big part of growing up as well. Like my favorite Mario Kart was Double Dash on the GameCube.
Yes.
It's because you can play with 2 people in one cart, so you can like team up. Yeah. So right, okay. Mario Kart Double Dash is one of the best Mario Karts ever, because you have somebody driving and then somebody sitting on the back throwing your items. But not only can they do that, they can then punch other drivers. If you get
Seriously,
close
Googling
enough
this
to
now.
them, if you get close enough to them and press the shoulder buttons, they can reach out and hit if they don't have an item in their hands.
Oh dear. It's like
Speak-
bobsled, but
Speaking
with
of, wait, do you hit other people in bobsled? I thought you went down that alone. Would you ever drive?
the way that I imagine it, right? There's
Reaching out,
Boxing
knocking
bobsleigh.
people out.
That's right.
So do we just let all the bobsleds go at once?
Oh, that would be amazing.
This is going to make the Winter Olympics really interesting.
Fight it out. Have some javelins as well.
But yeah, I'm waiting for the remake of Mario Kart Double Dash. Nintendo need to make it happen.
I've got both the Spyro and the Crash remaster because again, those are games that I used to play when I had my PlayStations, and my son's playing them through on my PlayStation, and I'm sat there with my laptop playing Storybook Brawl like the hardcore gamer that I am. I'm watching and get to bits, and I'm like, oh, this is where I used to keep dying. And then he turns around and goes, Mom, help!
Giraffe, have you played Storybook Brawl yet?
I have not. It doesn't quite appeal to me, which I know that I should just start and
Really
then I'll
said
get
that as
addicted like
well.
everybody
No,
else.
don't for that reason. Because you start and then you can't stop.
There's only so much time. I gotta get good at Blood Bowl first, right? Like that's current minor life goal is get good at Blood Bowl. And then after that, we'll consider things.
I
I
find
feel
with
like
Blood
you're
Bowl,
getting pretty good.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. I am much better at playing tabletop than I am playing the PC game.
See, I found the other way around because I found that when I'm going to tournaments at the moment, I'm really struggling. And I think it's either because it's tabletop and the new rule set, or it's because I'm not used to playing, because I'm playing Dark Elves on tabletop at the moment and I've not played Dark Elves in a long time. So I feel like that also might be contributing to me not doing so well.
How did everybody find Blood Bowl as a game, whether it's tabletop or on the computer? How did everybody find themselves into this game?
For me, it was a COVID discovery, I suppose. I've actually never even watched Twitch before, and I think a few friends of mine were like, we should do something online because nobody can see each other anymore, and we like playing games. I want to try this Blood Bowl thingamabob. And I was like, nah, I hate it. It looks really terrible. So they played a couple of seasons of a private league without me. And then I got bored and and decided to try it. And now most of them don't play anymore. Only a couple of friends do. But I'm addicted.
We can tell.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, now I'm like everybody, let's go play ball. Watch. We should talk about it. So there's definitely I'm stuck at home. I should find
Hang
things to
on.
do
But
during.
I have this idea of you, Giraffe, as having followed Andy Davo for a really long time because he has your
Yeah.
remotes. So I had in my head that you must have been following him for ages.
Well, actually, so yeah, Andy and I like know each other off stream a little bit as well. So,
Right.
but I do pop up in his streams a lot and do random tech support. So I feel like that makes me seem a lot more ubiquitous than maybe I am.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I
that
do help
stream
with
wouldn't
tech
work
support.
without you, so
No.
That's right. He owes me everything.
he
Every-
does, he owes you his fame.
I think that's a little bit of a myth perpetuated by chat and also by him, and I'm not sure exactly how he benefits from that. But sure, I'll take it.
I mean, he perpetuates a lot of myth and comes up with his own as well. Like the whole Day getting shipped around the world was him
I'm still waiting.
alone.
I'm
And then
still waiting. He's not arrived yet.
Everybody's waiting for their day.
yeah, I don't know where that came from or why he suddenly started it, but all of a sudden Day's getting shipped everywhere, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, he once just ran in a stream was like, oh, Tree, I've always had the impression that you're like out drunk at 2 a.m. every morning. I was like, what the hell? Like, I've been out once since COVID started, which was this weekend.
And now everybody knows Tree's that party streamer. That's right.
Yeah, party streamer. That's not going to mislead anyone.
Tree, how did you get into Blood Bowl?
So Blood Bowl specifically was my brother got some minis, again, older brother got some minis, had it when we were teenagers. We didn't play it loads, to be honest with you, as teenagers. Like we had it in the house and it was like a thing. And so I remember sort of like messing around with the minis and stuff, but I never was like super, I don't know, we never really played, I don't think we played whole games very much, if at all. Because, Blood Bowl, it's actually kind of a big time commitment. So when the 2016 edition came out, I had some friends in London, one friend in particular who plays in Rebel. And I guess, I don't know if he was playing in Rebel at the time, but anyway, he plays in Rebel now. But he was just really eager to get on this game, get some friends together, get everyone to play. And so he got a motley group of us together and made this little league of was it 6 or 8 people the first season we had, just like a little friends league, and that was fun. So we had 2 seasons of that. At some point he got me curious about Rebel, And so I just checked it out, and I played in Rebel for a little bit, but it was really like, I think the same as some of you guys. Like when lockdown happened, I was bored and lonely a lot. And so I was like, streaming, that's a thing. Maybe I'd started streaming a tiny bit before lockdown. I really can't remember anymore. Definitely the
No life
pandemic
before lockdown.
like massively intensified how much I play and made it like a thing that I do online and stream.
Yeah, I found that as well. I was introduced to it because Dede was working in a gaming shop and he was running a league. I would go after university, I'd go to the shop and get some food, and I'd be sitting there bored because he'd be playing on match, and you know how long they take. I eventually just went, okay, I can either keep coming here and sit here bored not knowing what the hell is going on, or I can like actually try and learn it. So I downloaded it on the PlayStation and went through the campaign, but then did more tabletop, and then entered a league. But then, so I started about March, and then in December time I noticed I was getting really, really like salty. I was like getting super, super salty at the game, constantly blaming dice, doing the, you know, oh, it never goes my way, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I'm in my final year of university, I'm on placement, I'm trying to play Blood Bowl League. I should probably cut something out, and the only thing I can cut out is Blood Bowl. So I took a bit of a break, and then went to a Two Drunk Flings tournament, which is where and how I kind of ended up joining them. And they convinced me to start back up again and play Halflings, because I'd finished uni at this point, and so got back into it. And then I started streaming. I wasn't streaming any Blood Bowl whatsoever. I was doing PlayStation games. I played like The Last of Us, I did Star Wars, I did Crash Bandicoot, I was doing all these other games, and then got a laptop, and I knew a friend of mine was streaming our league games, and there are a lot of games going on and more people were joining, so I was like, I'll help out and also stream these games. So I was just casting other people's games and my own games, and then I was gaining more and more like viewers, and then in January of this year I got affiliate and I just became a Blood Bowl streamer. And it's just like you, Tree, I've just found myself playing so much Blood Bowl recently, and I don't know how. I don't know how I've started playing this much Blood Bowl, but I have, and it's a bit of a shock.
Definitely a thing that takes over. So like, I don't know how I've just completely, I'm now thinking like, what did I just say? Because I missed a sort of quite big step in my like story just then, which is that when I moved city to where I'm living now, I joined a local tabletop league just because it was like, I need to find new ways to make friends. I've just moved to a new city. And that was like one of a bunch of things that I did. You know, I also joined like a community choir and did some other stuff. But like, so actually tabletop was quite like nothing like the amount of games you play when you play online. But that was like a sort of part of my life as well. And like Giraffe, like I've sort of been a tabletop gamer quite a lot. Like I have friends who play all sorts of games that aren't Blood Bowl, and I really like tabletop, like board gaming. Not like other. When I say tabletop, I mean like board games, not like.
That's what all school kids do, right? None of that.
Right,
video
exactly.
What the intellectuals do.
That's
exactly.
right.
And to be honest, like online Blood Bowl at the beginning, I didn't really like it because it just felt, especially when you like went into CCL or whatever, it just felt like, okay, there's someone I'm not talking to who, if they say anything, might say something really hostile.
It's a very different beast. I think the biggest difference between tabletop and online is tabletop, you're face to face, you've got that social aspect of it, whereas online you can just play game after game after game after game after game after game after game, and I think like you say, they can be hostile because you're playing so many games, so it's more likely to go wrong for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And just like, you know, when I joined the tabletop league when I first moved to Brighton, it was like, cool, I'm going to sit down with a real person. We'll have a joke and a laugh about this stupid game moving elves and orcs around. And at the end, like whether I've won or lost, I've had a nice time.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you take that away completely, then you sort of, first of all, you have to get more competitive about it, because otherwise, why are you doing it? And secondly, like it's just not the same. And that was why I think as well, like when I started streaming, I was like, oh, this is much nicer, because it's like it's more like playing a game of tabletop. I'm going to talk to someone, even if it's not the person I'm playing against. I'm talking to someone when I'm playing.
Yeah, and you can have that laugh and a joke about doing silly things, and you know, oh, I'm going to throw a halfling, or people
throw a halfling into the crowd.
Yeah, and people are there to witness the fun fun things happening. When you're playing tabletop, you don't necessarily get that. Like, it's you and the other person, but you can't capture it as well. It's a bit harder to kind of see what's going on than, you know, clipping something on Twitch. What about you, Collie?
I got into Blood Bowl. So we've always watched Crendor's leagues on YouTube. So Techno was always into Total Biscuit, and Total Biscuit played with Crendor. We watched the leagues and we continued watching it while Total Biscuit was in it, and Crendor was in it, and Stripping,
The most
and all
romantic
those
things
people.
together. I love it.
We do the most romantic things together. And then obviously, eventually we lost TB. But Crendor still carried on, and we carried on watching it. And then I think it was about last October, Techno came to me and he's like, there's a new set of the Blood Bowl rules in a new box, and it's really pretty, and we should get it. And I'm like, no, we shouldn't get that, because then you've got to buy more teams. Why don't we just buy it on Steam and be done with it, and we could play with it? We got all the teams, we got everything we want. And he was like, oh, all right then. Off he went. And then I hatched this plan. He's like, right, I know what he wants for Christmas.
Oh, I
So
love it.
I got him the Blood Bowl 2020 box for Christmas, and he had absolutely no idea. So he absolutely loves building the models and painting the models. He loves playing the games, well, but that's his absolute favourite part, is building them and painting them.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I hate that. I think that's for nerds. It's boring. So we make the perfect team, really. So I buy him the models of the teams that I want. He builds them, paints them, and I get these beautiful models back. And so that was last Christmas, and then we bought it on Steam when it was on sale. I think in the Christmas sale or whatever it was. We made a league with my brother-in-law. We diced the hell out of him, and he never came back.
Nice. Oh, well, that's nice. I was gonna say expand the community. Oh wait, no.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's not come back, because we had a little tournament and I killed his ogre first block turn 1.
Oh
Nice.
dear.
So yeah, that was it. He's been tilted ever since. It's nowhere near as interesting of a story for us as it is for you guys. So, and then we've pretty much been in lockdown ever since. So, and then Techno found Andy's videos on YouTube, and it's like, oh well, we'll put him on when he comes on Twitch. And we kind of just ballooned out from there, and we found the rest of you.
So now you just have Blood Bowl on all the time? It's a constant
Pretty
fixture on
much,
the TV?
yeah. I think I really love Twitch. I don't like watching YouTube videos, partly because of all the stupid ads that you get, and partly because I'm looking at it and I want to say something to the person who's talking to me, but
Yeah.
then I'm going to leave a comment and it gets lost in all the abuse. You don't go to the comment section on the internet. You don't do that. But then when you come on Twitch and you can start interacting with streamers, and you can go into the small streams, you can go into the big streams, but you can still interact with the chat, and you can talk about what's going on exactly as it's happening. And I love Twitch for that, and that community spirit is mostly what I go to Twitch for, as opposed to the content. Except for your 3 streams, I'm there completely for the content, obviously.
I think it's really like true, isn't it? Like, because in the end, it's a bit weird, but like I haven't actually met any of you in person,
No.
and yet I still feel like you're my friends because we've hung out on the internet, and that's like kind of what Twitch does as well. Like, it
Yeah.
sort of helps you. You literally make friendships, don't you?
I was telling my sisters that I was, you know, I was doing this with you guys, and I called you like Cauleeflower, Misspelledtree, and Giraffe, and they were like, "Who are they? What are their names?" And I was like, I don't, because I don't like. There's a lot of people I don't know their actual names, but I know them by their Twitch handle. It's like, why is that a bad way of knowing you? Because like Day, everyone calls him Day. His family have called him Day for years. He got his nickname because his sister couldn't pronounce his actual name, and so he's just gone by that for years and years and years. But he started calling me Dizzy in real life now. And he catches himself and he's like, why am I calling you that? And it's really funny. But like, I'm like, I love that I've got like a second name in a way, and I love that I know you guys, that, and I do feel like I know you in a way. But and it's amazing when I get to put a face to somebody who I just know as like a Twitch name in a chat, because you see the comments and you see the chat, and you can kind of get a voice. But then when you meet them in person, you go, yeah, no, that you match up with how I kind of like envisioned you almost.
Definitely is it? Because you actually get the personality out of people, because you have a conversation with them. You don't just leave one comment and come back and there might be other things said to it. It might have been buried. So, and you do get to know everybody that's in your chat, and you get to know the streamers quite well.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good sense. Well, I've clearly Andy's chat is the one where I spend most of my time. So I feel like the majority of the regulars there, like, you know, I know my Cauleeflower and Santa, and you know, all the folks are there all the time, and I just think of them as that. They might not have a face, but I I guess when I think of them, I kind of picture the role of the scrolling text going down in chat.
Sanders,
like,
you're
it's
not
that person.
imagining with the big white bushy beard.
Yeah, absolutely, and with the
course.
ho 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 sound, you know.
Figuring out how to do those sounds was the best day of my life, and like coming up with different sounds for different people.
I still don't know what sound a cauliflower makes.
Yeah, we need to figure out a sound for you. We need to figure out what entry sound you can have, because like,
But it will never top what Tree's entry sound is in your chat, Dizzy.
oh, I know.
That was so funny today.
That
I think
was-
it was the
did
first
you-
time you played it, and it was like I came in and typed something, and there was a delay, and so like
I
typed
said,
something.
"Oh, hi, Tree," and just as I finished saying that, it went, I'm not a tree," and it's like, it was just, I don't think anybody clipped it, so I'm gonna have to go back and get a clip of that and just stick it on YouTube, because that was just
amazing.
perfect timing.
Yeah, I have a hard time because I was trying to, when we were just thinking this up with Andy, and he's like, "Oh, what do you want?" And I'm like, I'm not sure what sound does
What
a
sound
giraffe make? I don't think.
personifies me?
Yeah, it's not very identifiable, so I don't even remember. I guess we went with the ball safe because, oh my god, do I need to remember that when I play Blood Bowl?
Well,
Fair enough.
now that's the sound for when he comes into my chat, but like sometimes people will spam it in chat, so I'm not sure if someone's spamming it and actually asking me if the ball's safe, or if it's just Andy popping into the chat. It's like, oh, it's Andy. It's not someone asking me, because I'm like, the ball is very safe. Why are you asking?
Yeah, I'd have no idea what mine could even be.
We'll come up with something. We
Yeah.
will come
Something
up
very
with something.
healthy and wholesome.
I'll get Chris to sing something for me.
Do it.
Wait, Chris sings. I haven't heard
Yeah.
this.
So I've got a Dizzy
sing.
command in my chat,
Yes.
because
And
so
that's Chris.
yeah, that's Chris Froston singing.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
I asked him to send me an audio clip, and he did.
I had no idea. That's not what I pictured him singing like at all.
Yeah, because
Had a
Now
nice
you've
little-
told me that, I can absolutely hear that it is Chris.
Can?
it's because every time he would enter chat, he would try and type out the song. So I'm like, just send me the audio clip of you singing, and he did. And so I have the Dizzy command, and then when he comes in, it also plays the sound clip.
It's got a nice baritone on him.
Yes.
Okay, so we know that Tree's favourite games are the Resident Evil games, and
Ah.
Giraffe's favourite games are the Mass Effect games.
True.
What's your favourite game series, Dizzy?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Spyro games.
Oh, it's a good choice.
We had the second and the third one. I don't think we ever had the first one when I was younger, which ironically we also had the second and the third one of Crash Bandicoot. But yeah, I just have vivid memories of the second Spyro game, playing that one with like all the gems and things and the different levels and the ice skating and the ice hockey and all those different things. Yeah, it makes me smile every time, and I could happily just sit there playing Spyro for hours and hours on end. So yeah, I'd have to say the Spyro series, and I am like hoping that they've been hinting and teasing a Spyro 4 in the Crash 4 stuff, because
Oh, that would be awesome.
god damn it, they've done a Crash 4, we deserve a Spyro 4.
I did. I loved both Crash and Spyro when I was younger.
Yeah.
Pass me by. I'm now like, as you're talking about all of these games, I've been furiously googling them, and I was like, oh, that looks like fun. I wish I did that. That looks very entertaining.
I definitely recommend getting the remakes of the Spyro games. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, the originals, they still hold up pretty well, because I have the originals on my PlayStation 3, so I can still play the original games, and like I've gone back to them and I'm like, they actually hold up pretty well compared to some games. And
Oh my god, yeah, I got the remake of Final Fantasy X. I was never really that big into Final Fantasy. There's only two that I've played. I've played 10 and 13. And I was expecting it to be a proper remake, but it wasn't. It was just a port. And the graphics are awful, and the controls are awful, and the voice acting is even worse than all of that combined. I was really disappointed because I quite enjoyed that when it was on PlayStation 2.
I've only ever played one Final Fantasy game, which was Final Fantasy VII, which I think did end up being one of the sort of famous ones.
oh, it's the most famous.
the
It is
most
the
famous.
most famous. They're just doing the remake now, and oh my god, the remake is
Oh,
amazing. Because
Okay.
so what they've done, they've not just remade the game, they have expanded it. So they've only really released the first half of it, and the first half of it is exploring the city even further than they do in the original.
Oh,
And then
you're
they've they've got the second game coming out. I don't know when. I can't remember when they said the release for the second one is, if they've even announced it. But yeah, that's going to be coming out. And I'm just like, I've played some of the first one. I haven't, well, obviously I haven't played any of the second one yet.
It was on like 3 discs back then, like on the PlayStation. You had to like finish the disc and take it out and put it in like
Yeah.
this.
I had a game like that on the PlayStation. It was very much like a Final Fantasy, but it was called Kudelka.
Okay.
Yes, it was it was like sort of horror based, so you were going around like this haunted house. And I don't ever think I got past disc 1 because I had no memory card.
Oh no.
So I could only get as far as I could
Oh
get.
no, no memory card. Oh my god.
Oh, Dizzy might not understand that plight.
I do. We did have like a PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, and like having to switch over the discs and stuff. I never played those games as such, but we had, was it Simpsons Hit and Run? Yeah. And we would get stuck, stop and come off it, but we always forget to plug the memory card in, so every time we came back to it, we played the beginning of that game so many times.
I remember when I didn't have a memory card for my GameCube, and I just got, so my favourite ever game series will always be, and nothing will ever dethrone it, the Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
Forever
yeah.
and ever and ever.
Respectable.
Yeah, I've owned every single one on its original console. I am such a huge fan. And I know all the lore, and oh, it's amazing. But I remember I got the collector's edition, and it was Zelda 1, Zelda 2, something else, and Majora's Mask and the Wind Waker.
Oh, Ocarina of Time. I've got the exact same collection.
Yeah, I've still got. I've given away everything for my GameCube and my Wii except that game. I've kept that, but I'd never managed to play Majora's Mask because I could never get the expansion pack for my N64. So when I got it on this, it was the first time I could play Majora's Mask, but I didn't have a memory card at the time for my GameCube. And I used to have to secretly try and leave my GameCube switched on so as not to lose where I was in this game, because I just wouldn't turn it off for days.
That's amazing.
And we had it was quite an old house, and it never had central heating, and my dad was installing central heating. So we got the boiler installed, and then he was going around putting radiators on the wall, and my bedroom was in the attic. He was drilling. He was drilling into the wall to put the things on to hang the radiator on, and he drilled straight through the power cable to my bedroom. And I lost like 7 or 8 days of progress on that game. I think I was at the water temple as Azora, and I heard this giant bang. I watched my dad fall over, and the first thing I did was run up to my room to see my GameCube was okay. It was fine. I just want to point that out to anybody listening that he was genuinely fine. He just kind of shocked himself. Figuratively shocked himself, not actually shocked himself.
What about your anger?
I wasn't angry. I was just disappointed. I was absolutely devastated. No, I was so upset. I was practically in tears, but I couldn't show my parents because they would be so mad if I'd left the GameCube running for 8 days solid.
Oh my god, how hot was it? You know how like consoles get really hot? I just imagine it being like,
I don't know. I never touched it, but I had such a massive bedroom. I had because it was the attic. It was the whole top floor of the house, so it was huge. So any heat just kind of dissipated, and
so
it was
it
all
kept you warm.
really
I totally understand.
Yeah,
he was saving on radiators and bills. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it'd be fine. I was
so in college actually. It was very cold in my college dorm room, but my laptop overheated, so I literally slept with my laptop, and it worked out perfectly.
Oh, in a flat that my sister used to have, the heating broke, and the landlord wouldn't even give her any like electric heaters or anything like that. So we used to go into the kitchen, turn all the burners on the gas stove, and heat the kitchen up, but it would only be hot from down to where the top of the stove was. If you went any lower, it was freezing again.
Sounds
so you couldn't bend down to go any cupboards or anything. And then I came up with this amazing idea. So let's turn the oven on and open the door as well. Well, then the bottom of the room got warm.
Oh my god!
And you're still here to tell us this tale.
It was an electric oven. It's fine. It wasn't a gas oven. We didn't leave this going. We'd go in there, turn it on, get warm, wrap up in blankets, and then go out back into the living room.
The explosion.
No, there was no explosion. Don't worry. I don't put buttered toast back in the toaster.
That's true. What kind of maniac would possibly do that?
There is no one on this earth that is stupid enough to do that. Right?
Definitely not.
is this an Andy story? I don't know who this
Yeah.
is.
Something
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
silly that no sane person would do.
And then Auntie's done it.
We've done it.
But see how I knew it was an Andy story. Even though I didn't-
Because it involved food.
On that,
Oh my goodness.
like that memory card thing, Connie, I relate to it so hard because they used to be so expensive.
They
Like you
were,
have to
weren't
get
they?
your
Yeah.
console, you had to get controllers, you had to get the game, you had to get like a memory card on top of memory cards. Always like, oh, that extra thing.
Like at the time they were only like £10, but £10 back then was a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of pocket money.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's made me think of like again like experiences I don't know if I experienced anymore. But so like I'm half Italian. This actually came off my stream earlier. And when we were kids, we'd go to Italy every summer basically to
Oh,
where my dad's
that's
from. My dad's from like a small village, but it has a swimming pool in the village. And the swimming pool would always have one arcade machine next to it, and that like would change every summer. And so like every summer, part of our experience of going to my dad's village is that my brother and I would end up playing on this arcade machine. I was really short. I'm tall now, which is weird, but like I was really short as a kid too. So I have this image in my head of like what it must have looked like to everyone else, my brother and then me down there. We do that every summer. And then like there was just one summer where we were like, because my parents would give us not that much money, like a bit of change to play on the arcade machine. And there was one summer where we were like going to be really disciplined. We're not going to play this like every day. We're just going to save the money that my mum and my dad give us, and we're going to do it all in one day so we can go as far as we can. And we were just at this arcade machine for like, probably it wasn't even that long in like the time that you sort of, because you know when you're a kid, like time goes forever. So probably it was like an hour and a half or something, but it just felt like we were at this machine for like a whole afternoon, going into the evening or whatever. And I can't remember what the game was anymore. We did actually eventually beat it, which was amazing.
Oh, awesome.
I just felt
It
like
was
more
really
and more
hated
gorgeous.
at the end.
Beating
So-
an arcade machine. How does
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
I actually didn't go back to Majora's Mask for a long time.
I can
after I lost
imagine, like,
it.
when you lose that kind of progress, you kind of go,
That's all- that's
I don't want to
heartbreaking.
touch that. I don't want to go
Yeah,
back and
I
do
was-
the
I was-
beginning.
Oh
I
my
was
god.
just too heartbroken to go back and do it, and it took a lot of years for me to do it again. And by the time I was ready to, I got over my horror and the trauma. I think I was in college, and I was no longer in the attic. I was in the small bedroom, and I had one of those high sleeper beds, and underneath it, I had a little CRT TV, and my Wii plugged into it because we were at the Wii stage of gaming at that point. But they still were GameCube discs, so I had my GameCube controller plugged into it, and I had it on, and I would stay up until ridiculous times at night playing this. And I had a memory card this time, so I could save the game.
Nice.
So that was amazing. But for some reason, I'd got hooked on this one band. I got hooked on Breaking Benjamin, and they'd had a new album out. And does anyone else remember burning CDs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I burnt the CD. I'd put it on my hi-fi because this was still back in the days of hi-fis. And sidebar on that one, my very first CD for this hi-fi that was really up at this point was Peter Andre Kiss the Girl.
Oh, awesome.
So I had this album, and it didn't have a shuffle button, but I don't like listening to albums in order. I like them to shuffle. So I would write myself this sequence out and then put it on, so it would feel like it was shuffling. So because you could program it to play specific tracks in order. That sounds stupid, doesn't it? So, but then I would do that and I put it on repeat. So I would sit there and play a game with this one CD on shuffle and listen to it over and over again while I was playing it. So I was playing Majora's Mask, and I remember I got back to the water temple, and finally I'm back to where I was. And every time, and it was just this one CD on repeat. So I still listen to that track every now and then. I've got it on my Deezer now. Deezer and Spotify, because that's the new way to listen to music. You young kids come up with all the cool things. And now, anytime I hear a song off that album, all I can see is the water temple as Azora from Majora's Mask, and it's great. It always makes me smile.
I have a similar thing with ABBA and Pokemon, because
The
my
weirdest connection in the world.
I know, because I just have this memory of, I used to have like a bunk bed, and but it wasn't like two beds. It was a bed and a sofa, which could then the sofa could be turned into a double bed. I just have this memory of sitting on my little sofa with my Game Boy Advance playing Pokemon Sapphire and listening to ABBA's Arrival over and over and over again. And I don't know why I would listen to that particular CD over and over again, but I did, and I played Pokemon at the same time. So now if I hear those songs, I just think about Pokemon. Or if I'm playing Pokemon, I start singing songs in my head.
Songs in your head.
Yeah.
Draft, do you have any songs that trigger any memories?
It's
You don't
funny
have to be
because
gaming
they're-
memories, just any memories.
Yeah, it's funny how we have these like very strong associations because everybody's had that CD or multiple CDs. Mine mostly, so my games, once again, I go back to my poor broken childhood of my gaming was AOL.
AOL.
AOL, that was the extent of games I had, you see. Broke child, no consoles. But I do remember these. So what I did is I went into chat rooms and talked to people, which is, in retrospect, sounds really sad. But I thought it was loads of fun. And we talked
Chat
about
rooms when the internet first
chat
came along were
rooms.
amazing. That was so
Yeah.
Yeah,
exciting.
they were so
I'm sure
much
that was
fun. They were
fun.
so much fun.
It was actually it was an activity though. It wasn't a like
Mm.
I got home and I did my homework because I was a very good student, and then the fun you get to do is go on AIM or AOL, and then also they had
What,
some like
MSN
silly games.
Messenger? Did you have MSN?
I did not have MSN, but I had AOL Instant Messenger, which is pretty good, and chat to my friends or people I met on the internet, which in retrospect now is actually terrifying because those people could
Yeah.
have been anything, but we mostly talked about like existential problems of life, or I don't even remember. It was probably like something really silly, but now that I think about it, it's good that I wasn't like kidnapped by crazy like child crazy people.
It was such a different time because I used to go
was,
on chat rooms as well.
Mm.
When I was younger and just chat to people. It was just you were literally just chatting, and it never felt malicious. No one ever asked me any probing questions beyond ASL.
Well, you don't know, right? Because
Mm.
back then I thought this was all normal, and you know I didn't have stranger danger quite as ingrained in me as I do now. So I just took everything at face value. Somebody, I mean ASL, sure, that was a thing, but it was mostly a bunch of 11-year-olds, right? So we were
Yeah, it
all
was though, wasn't it?
yeah.
Like it genuinely. I'm
We
sure there was some weird, creepy people out there, but like people would just chat to me. Nobody, I was never groomed or anything like that. Nobody ever tried to ask me for weird and
That you know
compromising
of.
I mean,
things that I know of. Yes.
That's right.
I wasn't chat rooms, but Club Penguin was what
Yeah,
I
Club
grew up with. But then that did get shut down for grooming and stuff like that. But I remember at school, like we'd go. I remember just walking up to my friends and going like, "You're going on?" I can't remember, like Iceberg later, because that was the server that we would always meet on. Like, yeah, go meet you on Iceberg at 5 o'clock after our tea or whatever.
It's like all the cool kids do.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, the other thing that I did a lot of, so this is, you know, fast forwarding 20 years or so, the first board gaming on the internet experiences that I've had was in the, not like, so one, I hate to say one nice thing that came out of COVID, but it's sort of kind of worked out that way, is that it brought together this like insurgence of online board gaming because everybody's stuck at home. People still want to play board games. So a lot of like Tabletop Simulator, a lot of other websites, Board Game Arena, all of that became really popular, got a lot of development. A lot of games are online now. But you know, 10 years before that, there wasn't very much out there.
Yeah.
So one of the first online clients, I don't know if you guys have ever played Brett Spielwelt, BSW.
No.
So this is remarkable. It is a German client that's been around for 20 years, maybe more, and is still magically around. But it was one of the first ways to play a board games with somebody over the internet in real time.
Mm.
And board games are super popular in Germany, so it was developed there. And it pretended like it had an English translation to it, and partially it did, but only partially. But everybody who wanted to play board games, and I got introduced by a friend that I had in California while I was living on the East Coast. And he said, just download this and then learn a couple of magical German phrases in order to get in and be able to play. And that's how I know how to say, may I? And because that's the polite thing to do in order to sit down and join a game with strangers. And so I have these memories of playing these CDs and playing a bunch of board games with German internet strangers who don't, German and Greek, who didn't really speak English, but we had these like set phrases in German and English where we would, you know, get the points across. But it was lovely, and it's still around. So BSW, brettspielwelt.com. I just want to plug them for how both amazing they are and how still untranslated their client is, even supposedly in English. Because I've tried playing it recently, and it's a hilarious mess. But also, like they've certainly started the trend of playing board games over the internet. So good job,
I
guys.
love that. Like, I love that as an idea as well. Like, I know it's sort of corny, but like, just those are strangers on the internet, but in a different country, you couldn't even speak their language. language, but there was a thing that you could do together that made you both happy.
Yeah, but we really
Yeah.
like, random, T2, which is a fantastic board. Anyone has played it, and you just sit there for hours and hours.
I think what I've learned tonight from this is that practically everybody has a story that brings a smile to their face about games in general.
Like, even if you don't like, there's so many different kinds of games, aren't there? There's obviously like your general categories of like table, card, and board games, but then there's like mobile phone games, and there's like family games and kids
Yeah.
games and things like that. And
Like Doom, kids games like Doom.
yeah, I do exactly. And everyone's played some form of game at some point in their life. I don't think there's, as kids you play to learn and about life and stuff. So everybody's played some form of game at some point, and I think it's just like it's really cool when people of similar interests come together, and like you say,
I think it does bring a lot of people together. Like there's 4 of us in here right now, and I probably would have never met any of you was it not for gaming. And I'm sure that there's actually quite a few people out there that are in the same situation. People that might play Call of Duty online and shout "Get wrecked, nerd" every night. But they've probably met someone and played with them online, especially over the past 18 months.
yeah.
And they've got something of a connection with them.
Like I was just thinking about it the other day, the amount of people I have met through Blood Bowl. Like, and if I had decided, all those years ago, I can't be bothered to learn this game, I will just sit here and be bored, or I will just find something else to do, or I can't be bothered to like come back. And like you say, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. I wouldn't have met Andy, or I wouldn't be going to Blood Bowl tournaments. I wouldn't be part of the Two Drunk Flings. There's just so many things that have happened because of this game, and it's just crazy to me to think of how different my life would be if it wasn't.
Much like you, Dizzy, my story of how I got into like Blood Bowl and tabletop is I was taking an interest in what my significant other was doing at the time. Like prior to being anywhere near techno, I had absolutely no interest in Warhammer or anything like that. They were a bunch of sweaty men in a shop with questionable hygiene, and it's because I wanted to actively take an interest in something that interested him. Like you actively took an interest in something that interested Day Day,
Yeah.
and that you found actually no, this isn't as nerdish, or maybe I am as nerdy as that, and it kind of spirals from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that goes into a topic that I think we should probably save for a different podcast, because I think of how long we could talk about, but we could briefly touch on like the gender side of Warhammer, of war games, and like how like it is more geared towards men. And there was that article a couple of months ago on the Blood Bowl community about why women aren't in wargaming, and it's a really interesting topic. And then, like I say, I think we should save it for a different podcast.
I think you should tease that as episode.
Yeah, that's the second episode. That'll be our second episode.
That's
but
a really good one to bring up.
But yeah, there was some interesting things that were raised by people, and I tell you what was also interesting. I shared that exact same article I run a Facebook group for women and non-binary folks who play Blood Bowl, and I posted the exact same article in that. It was so interesting to see the difference in responses.
And the difference between whom and
Blood Bowl community, and you shared it in your other group, and I was sort of following both conversations myself, and they were very different.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
So the one in the group that I run were like lengthy paragraphical answers and conversations of like what their experience had been, because this was a group aimed at women and non-binary folks. And Blood Bowl community is open to everybody. It's open to anybody and everybody. And like I said, so the responses that were in Blood Bowl community were very, very interesting compared to that group.
I like the word you're using there, interesting.
Well, I think that's something we can dive into in the next episode.
I think that would be a great thing to dive into. I haven't actually read the article yet. I certainly would like to read the article before we start discussing it.
Definitely.
It's probably a good starting point, isn't it?
We're going to need homework before each episode from now on.
That's right.
You've
And
got
we'll
to do your
actually
research.
do it. Not like this time. We're furiously writing it out as the teacher's coming by.
I've never done that. It's a great stream.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was, because Giraffe already said it, and I'm like, I was a SWAT at school. Like, I was definitely like did my stuff and like got good grades.
Do you know, I was as well. I was quite the SWAT. So when I started smoking in about year 9, year 10, and there's that one place at school, if you remember, where all the cool kids went and smoked. None of the teachers actually believed I was there smoking.
Oh my God.
They just thought I was there, so they come round and catch everybody and be like, detention, 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 hi! But it was great, because then that made me a bit of a mule, because I was one of the ones that said, the test, so they go give me this money and go to the shop.
Oh my God.
Buy the cigs, you can have 2 out of it, so I go for like 10 people, and then I end up with this 20 deck immediately for free.
Should you be telling the story that might get you arrested on a public?
Oh, this was a lot of years ago now. So yeah, sometimes if you're secretly naughty, being a SWAT pays off.
What is that word?
Because you can
It's a very British word.
Oh yes, that is
Yeah,
a
it is
really
actually
British
smart.
word. That's like the nerds, the smart ones, the ones that always behave. Teachers' pets.
Yeah, teachers' pets. I was a SWAT, but I was terrified of getting in trouble, so there was no way in hell you'd ever catch me doing anything remotely wrong. Like, I was even like, it wasn't until university that when my confidence started growing a lot more that I started to open up a little bit more. And like, even a few years ago I was still quite shy and not wanting to do anything wrong, but now, like, I think streaming has definitely helped with my confidence and that side of it. But yeah, no, there was no way in hell you were ever finding me doing anything. Like, I was too scared to say boo to a goose, kind of shy. So
all right, number one,
Geese are terrifying. Geese are
two, they have
genuinely
teeth.
terrifying.
Like, don't say boo to them.
no.
So if you see a goose, turn around and go the other way. I don't care
Yeah,
what's
just
over there. I
avoid
don't
it.
care if your child is over there. It doesn't matter. It's the geese's child now.
I'm literally wearing a dress with geese on it. Like, I'm not even there. Like, I literally am.
Oh, I love it. It's as though you knew this conversation was coming up.
Thematically dressed, always appropriate. Sorry, I'm still very much reading about SWATs and swatting.
Have you been like furiously Googling everything that we talk about?
Almost
Do you know what
every
that
word.
No, don't go to the Urban Dictionary. That is a whole.
Well, it's actually pretty funny because it says a person who values their education at least 3 times more than their social life. Like, okay, that sounds like me.
I hate that I'm telling this, but like, I was so bad at socializing with people that when someone gave me their phone number as like being a friend, I asked them if they were sure.
Oh, that's
And that was in college. That wasn't even in school.
That was
like,
in college.
yeah,
Oh,
that's what I mean when I say, like, in university my confidence grew heaps and bounds. But yeah, my mum had to like not physically push me out the door once when my friends came around to call for me, because I was like, I don't want to hang out with them. I just want to read a book.
It's terrifying. There's people out there.
I know. I came home after 20 minutes because I got bored.
I think that's the other thing, like, you don't get when you're a kid. Like, when you're a kid, like, whatever your social circle is, it's basically whoever happens to be in your school, and that's kind of the world. Whereas, like, when you get out of that, Twitch widens this circle so much more. You realize that there are actually other people in the world with just the same interests as you.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what your weird interests are, there are other people who are into it.
Yeah, I think that is one of the great things about the internet. I know the internet and social media and everything is really slammed at the moment, but people are forgetting the amazing side of it, of bringing people together. You might have this really, really weird interest, this really niche interest, but there is someone else out there in the world, and you can find them with the power of the internet.
Oh, definitely. And I think with Twitch, like, you don't have to stream video games as well. I think it's something people sometimes forget. Like, there are people who do cooking videos on there. There are people who do dancing videos on there. Like, it's not just video games and hot tub streams. There is other content out there. So like, it can be a really, if you've got an interest that you think no one else has, search for a stream of it. There's probably someone streaming it.
I recently introduced my parents to Twitch, and they're somewhat not in with the social times, but so I was describing it to them in terms of chess, right? That you can watch chess, and that was super exciting to them. We watched some chess. Now they know about Twitch and how their daughter is a famous Twitch streamer. Famous with a gigantic
Did they give you their Prime subscription?
No, oh god. Well, first of all, no. Secondly, they will never actually know they're not allowed on my stream.
No, not Giraffe After Dark.
Not Giraffe After Dark, yeah, because I do swear like a sailor.
Maybe Giraffe in the evenings.
The problem is, so they know I curse like a sailor, but they don't experience very often. There's one thing about knowing it, and another of like seeing their daughter.
Oh, my mum. So my little sister was watching my stream, and my mum told me that she'd heard it. She's like, "I heard you swearing." I was like, "Sorry, mum."
No, I remember I always used to be really scared to swear in front of my mum and dad. And then all of a sudden, one day, it was like something just clicked in me and I swore. And my mum turned around. She said, "Cauleeflower," but obviously my real name. And I was like, "Oh, do you know what, woman? Shut up. I'm 18. You can't tell me what to say anymore." She went,
How did
"Right,
that go
fine."
down?
I was like, "I am a grown woman now. I own my own house. I have children. I will swear if I want to."
We swear in front of my parents. It's mostly don't say that in front of your grandparents. That's what we get. My dad is pretty much okay with it. He will also sometimes swear, but my mum will give it us a shocked look if we do. So it's like it's just don't let your grandparents hear you more than anything.
I have such a foul mouth. Like I am so bad. I have stopped myself swearing so many times while we've been doing this. But
I'm all for this.
There's one of my bosses at work. He cannot abide swearing. He makes like if he hears someone swear, he makes this actual pained expression on his face and kind of turns away from you. And I think it is what it is. It is so hard to not swear around him. It physically hurts to not drop some of those F-bombs.
It's a tough life. I'm sorry.
It
I'm sorry
is.
you have to go through that.
It's really so hard.
I do tone it down a little bit at work because I try to be at least somewhat professional, but things kind of trickle through.
It always does.
They just have to, yeah. But this was a surprisingly, I think this whole podcast was surprisingly wholesome. Good job.
Yeah, I think we've done
I
well.
did
well.
really hard.
Yeah, it was a little bit of work for me. Maybe not so much for Dizzy and Tree because they're very polite and wholesome.
We are not.
We're not.
No,
Sorry.
We are not polite and wholesome.
That's what the After Dark podcast, the
Exactly.
Halison After Dark.
Yes.
So is that where like Tree and I leave and then you two carry on in your own
No,
podcast?
no, this is where we corrupt you in as much as we can. And you try to stay this paragon of goodness and light that you two are. And we try to
There's
get
definitely
you to the
some
dark
exaggerated narrative around this.
side. Join the dark side.
Yes, we have cookies. I can make giraffe cookies.
And swearing.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna make giraffe cookies and I'm gonna ice swear words all over them.
God, yes, I would eat that. I want.
I think that's probably a really good place to end the podcast for this time.
Before it gets out of hand.
Before it gets out of hand. So we're going to try
Always
and get some guest stars with us for future episodes. We're not quite sure when or who we're going to have. We have had a few requests already.
Yes, we have.
But links for all of our Twitches are in the About section of SoundCloud. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram. And I'm working on a Twitter. There might be a Twitter by the time this episode comes out. So please check out for Hey Listen podcast on all those different mediums. It's the same logo with the Navi and the headset.
Shall we pick a random streamer to do a shout out for?
Yeah, by all means.
This isn't so random. It's mostly because he has obviously offered to promote us, but I would love to do a shout out for Sky Blue Monty, the most amazing fling coach and wholesome family stream.
It is also worth mentioning Sky Blue Monty is also a member of the Two Drunk Flings podcast, who are very good friends of ours, as we have mentioned a few times. Please go check out their podcast as well. They talk all things Blood Bowl, whereas we're a bit higgledy-piggledy. They are specifically Blood Bowl related content, so definitely go check them out. They have a YouTube and all that kind of thing. I think that's everything, isn't it?
I think that's everything, unless Treat or Giraffe has something they want to add at the end.
I got new emotes.
So go to Misspelledtree's channel just for her new emotes. Make sure you subscribe so you can use the emotes.
Follow and subscribe to DizzyBess, Misspelledtree, Seriously I'm a Giraffe, because they are amazing. And I might be there sometimes.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast episode, and we shall see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye!